Right. All right. So today we'll be looking at a very interesting aspect of product management. Um, the last our last our last class we looked at um, a very interesting aspect of product launch, which is pretty much the what's it called again? The adoption life cycle and also the adoption stages and process. All right. Today we're looking at the go-to-market strategy. I know most of you are already aware of this. For some of you, they're already in the product space or even in the marketing space. Or yeah. So there's something we call go-to-market strategy. This is when we've talked about your, design, ideation, design, development, and launch. Right. So you're pretty much done with your development. You want to bring your product to the market. So um, how do you go about it? What strategy do you go about bringing your product to the market? All right. So our table of content, we're looking at how to craft a go-to-market strategy. We're looking at how to define a go-to-market strategy, develop a marketing plan, align internal readiness, and we're looking at how to execute the launch. All right. This class is going to be very robust, so I'd like you guys to pay attention as we follow through. All right. Okay. I wrote here. I said a successful product launch will lay the foundation for establishing a good market presence, help you generating initial momentum and capturing the attention of potential customers and industry influencers. All right. So it's very important for you to plan your launch properly because it will help you determine how strong your market presence is in terms of how people um, would notice your product, get to be aware of your product, and also how people would get to interact with your product as well, which is where we're talking about the initial generate a very good amount of momentum, right, and also capture the attention of your potential customers, even industry influencers, like people who are thought leaders in the industry, people who have, who are leaders in that industry, who are leading several aspects in that industry. So when your product launch is good, you'll be able to attract all these people, right? So I said a well-planned go-to-market strategy include pre-launch marketing campaign, strategic partnership, contribute this to generating interest, enthusiasm that propel the product into the market with a strong start. All right. So for a go-to-market, you're looking at a pre-launch marketing campaign. So this is the stage pretty much where you're working out closely with your marketing team and sales team. Initially, as a product marketer, product manager, this was a phase where you are working with the stakeholders, with the users, trying to understand their pain points, um, their challenges, trying to come up with a solution that is tailored to their needs. All right. And then there's the place where you're working closely with the designers, prototyping your solution, coming up with wireframe, low fidelity, and even high fidelity of your design. And there's the period when you're now working closely with your developers, your engineers, your QA analysts, and developing the product and testing it. And then there's a period where you're more working closely with your marketing guys, and this is what the stage is all about, which is why it's very effective. Okay. Oh, I've not done that yet. Sorry, guys. So, which is why it's very important, right, as a product manager to have an all-round knowledge in all of these aspects. All right. Um, you notice sometimes you wonder why we learning, why we going so much into knowing how to prototype, knowing how to design, knowing how to the concept of user experience, design thinking, understanding how development works, agile and things like that. Because you are the one leading the team. You are in other words, the CEO of the product. So you need to have a foundational knowledge of all of these things so that you can be able to guide your team and help them collaborate effectively to deliver or to achieve the goal of that product or the business objective which that product is a driver. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me open the attendance. Okay. All right. You can mark your attendance now. It's open. Thank you. Good night. All right. All right. So I said this initial momentum not only attracts early adopters. Remember we talked about early adopters in our last class of the product, but also set the stage for its sustained growth and market penetration. All right. So there's a way you go into a market that determines how you are able to grow as a startup, or how your product is able to grow in the market, and even how it's able to even penetrate every market segment that you have created. All right, so it's very important. So we'll be looking at all of the strategy, pretty much all that it entails in this go-to-market strategy. All right, so I looked at, I mentioned, it said a well-prepared and executed product launch should create buzz, one, spark conversation, two, pique curiosity among potential customers, three, industry experts and media. All right, so the goal of your product launch, all right, is three things: create buzz, spark conversation, and pique the interest curiosity among your potential customers, industry experts, and the media. So it means that everyone needs to be talking about your product. You have to get everyone discussing, everyone curious about what your product is all about, because that's how you generate that momentum, right, in the market, right? This creates a level of excitement and positivity surrounding the launch, leading to valuable organic word of mouth, social proof, and endorsement. All right. So in this case, because of that excitement, because of the positivity that is surrounding your launch, all right, people are talking about it. There's what organic word of mouth. There's social proof. People are looking to try it on. They are talking about, oh, I tried this product, or this is what it did for me, and everything like that. Oh, someone said, oh, I'm trying to solve this problem, and I have a particular need, and someone is able to say, oh, I saw online that there's a product that help you do this, does that, does this, or stuff like that. Or you're trying to transfer money, for example. Let's say you're trying to transfer money to um, to an account in the UK, and you've been having challenges with the existing ones, and you saw an ad or we saw an ad online that someone is expertly talking about how you can effectively um, transfer money. You get a UK bank account. They'll set up a bank account for you. There's a UK bank account and things like that. And this app just makes it easy, and you can also send into other currencies, send money to other currencies in other countries and things like that. And you're like, wow, the user tries it, and they're getting used, and they start talking about it, testifying. Some people even get to the point that they start creating reviews for you, because of how good and or because of the how good the product is. So this kind of low cost word of mouth, marketing is especially beneficial for new market entrants in establishing trust, credibility with potential customers. So one thing about word of mouth is that you're able to bring. So it means that you have a set of team for things like this. You probably have a set of team who are working on the ground and bringing your product closely to people so that they can try it and also get to testify about it or talk about it. So they're able to then tell their colleagues, tell their friends, family, and that way people can trust it because someone close to them has tried that product and can see the value in it. All right. So this helps you build trust, help you build credibility. All right. So we're going to really look at, all of this, how to go about this go-to-market strategy very soon. All right. So I said that importantly, creating a strong and compelling differentiation will ensure that your product is able to stand out from competition. All right. So as you are coming into the market, it means that you're not just trying to replicate an existing product. If you're building a product, it means that you're solving something that, or you are solving a problem that's not being solved by your competitors, or you're coming in a direction of even serving a market, an underserved market that your competitors do not serve. So it means that you're able to differentiate yourself from competitors so that they can know that this is how you stand out. This is what makes you different. So this can be achieved from the way you compare your messaging on your, let's say, for example, on your ads or your landing page, and so that people know that this is how this app is different from this app. These are the things that you can do uniquely by using this app, that is different from other existing app, right? So, highlighting the product unique value proposition. So I said it's every standard from the competition, highlighting the product unique value proposition, like I mentioned. Cutting through the noise, highlighting its unique features and benefit. All right, so this compelling and strong differentiation helps you demonstrate how your product solve a specific problem, like I mentioned, or fulfill a need in a way that clearly sets you apart from the rest of the pack, from the rest of your competitors. All right. So additionally, your post-launch support and customer service should be able to should not be overlooked. So most people, right, when they craft their go-to-market, they always leave the aspect of customer support because they think it's just all about marketing, running ads, and things like that. There's the part where your customer support does a big part in terms of helping your customers easily on board and get to because no matter how, right, your customers will always get to a point where there is a right, your customers will get to a point where they would experience some level of issues, or they will have questions, or they will need some support. So if you have a customer service team that's ready to answer all of their questions, make their using the app easy. All right, because that's what actually even helps you retain those customers. Because when the customer has an issue and is able to meet a supporter, someone is there to answer his questions, help him out one way or the other. It makes it easy. It makes it easy. It makes it easy, all right? All right, so I said a successful product launch is not just about creating excitement initially, it's also about maintaining customer satisfaction and addressing any concerns that may arise after initial purchase, just like I mentioned, all right? So it's not just about the buzz, creating the excitement and things. You have to ensure that your customers are satisfied and you can address whatever concerns, questions, issue that they experience after using your product, all right? Okay, so how do you create or craft a go-to-market strategy? How do you craft it? How do you craft or create a go-to-market strategy? We have several things I wrote here in this picture. You can see define your target audience, research your competitors, identify the problem that you want to solve, set up a buyer journey, define your channel, decide on pricing, formulate your sales plan, create a launch plan, measure your metrics, and things like that. Create your positioning statement. All right. So we are going to be looking at everything in details, one after the because this is one of the most crucial part that determines your success, even after having a solid, a good product. You're very sure that, based on your feedback and your testings with user group, you see that you're actually solving the problem. They've used it, some set of people have used it, you can ascertain that this product is solving the problem. But now your goal as a product manager is also to ensure that your product is bringing revenue. All right, so it's how you're able to draft the proper go-to-market strategy will determine how well your product will make money, how well it will do in the market. So this is why this phase is very important, because you're not building a product for a client that is ready to pay you. If you're bringing a product to a market this you need to go about this strategy unless you are maybe there's a client that needs something that you just submit the proposal and you build to that client specification. There are scenarios where that is applicable in product management, but there are also scenarios where you are building to a market, you're bringing your product to the market to a big customer. All right, so maybe more like a B2C. All right, okay, all right. So crafting the go-to-market strategy to ensure a successful product launch. All right, you with the product manager should develop a comprehensive go-to-market strategy. The plan should be informed and aligned with the product objective, the target market, ensuring it reach right audience in the right place. The process of crafting a robust go-to-market strategy involves drawing insights and decisions established during the development of the product strategy planning. This element includes market segmentation, competitive analysis, value proposition, messaging, pricing, and more. All right. However, additional planning is still needed, incorporating components such as product market entry plan, distribution channel, promotional tactics, and others. So there is the elementary part of go-to-market strategy, which is in terms of you're trying to understand your market segment, you're doing your competitive analysis, you are trying to draft or define your value proposition, you are refining your messaging, and you're also, getting the best price point for your product. But there's all those other parts where you're also trying to even plan your market entry, like how are we going to even enter this market? What are the channels that we're going to distribute our product? I mean, channels where our customers will be able to, get to find or use our product. Promotional tactics. How are you going to get the word out to your customer, your target audience? All right. So these are other areas that you also factor into when drafting your go-to-market strategy. All right. Today we'll be looking at several areas. Tomorrow we'll be focusing more on some major aspects, more like positioning, looking at pricing, looking at some other aspects in the going in depth. But for today, we'll be crossing over majority of the space, all of these things, just cross over it, give you a proper understanding. But with them looking at everything and how you can create all of these things individually, right? So market entry plan, right? For a new product, when entering new market, developing a well thought out market plan is vital. This plan provides a roadmap of how the product will be introduced to the market. So at this point, you're literally working with the marketing lead to plan this market entry plan. All right, means that how are we going to enter the market? What are the stage? Are we partnering with some people? Are we launching are we doing a launch party? Or are we starting with launching with this series of webinars, discussions, so that people get to start talking about the problem or the challenges? So there are strategies at which people go about going to the market based on the type of product. Or are we engaging thought leaders, having conversations around what are the challenges and possible solutions? You've not introduced your product, but you are creating some conversation that will give a foundation for your product to be able to enter properly. All right. So it is involved drawing from analysis performed during the creation of the product strategy, including identifying the target market segment, understanding your customer needs and preference, and evaluating your market size, growth potential, and you're conducting the market research. So all of these things that you do will help you determine what is the best approach to even create a market entry plan. All right. So I said it involved drawing the analysis performed during. So you're drawing data from your from the analysis that you perform in terms of your target market segment, your customer need, the market size, growth, and things like that. These are the things that help you know what is the best approach for us to enter into the market. All right. Market entry plan should outline the steps and resources needed to penetrate the market successfully, including customer acquisition strategy, competitive analysis. By addressing these components, the chances of successful market entry will significantly increase and enable sustainable growth in a new market environment. All right. So you want to really understand how are we acquiring these customers, right? What are the channels we are using? Um, so when in terms of channels, that's what you're looking at. Um, is it via um, social media? Is it via having conversation on what is it called? Is it via having conversation on on YouTube, on what do you call this thing again? Um, I can't remember what they call it again. All right. But in a way, you evaluate all of these channels to know the best way to get into the market. So the other part you need to do is be able to segment your market. Market segmentation involves dividing your target market into distinct groups based on shared characteristics and needs. So yeah, you're understanding your customer demographic, their behavior, their preference, their pain point. You're not segmenting them, I also said this enables a product manager to tailor their go-to-market strategy and their market entry plan effectively to reach and engage each customers by deploying targeted messaging, positioning, marketing effort that resonate with the specific customer group. All right, let me explain this. All right. So for instance now, all right, you're building a solution for how will I call it now? What solution should we use, for instance, to help you explain market segmentation? I know I've talked about it one time. Let's say it's a saving platform, money saving platform, all right? And you're trying to segment who are our customers. Your customer segment can fall into students, a segment can fall into um, early early newly married couple. A segment can fall into working class. A segment can fall into market people. A segment can be and all of that. So you're segmenting people based on their characteristics so that you can know how to tailor your messaging. So now if you're trying to tailor a messaging for the way you draft your messaging or your advertising to students, we do it from the way you draft this messaging to newly wedded couples or to working class people, because as much as this is the same need to save money, their motivation to save money is different. All right. So being able to understand the motivation for each segment, all right, helps you to be able to define the best type of messaging that would resonate with this set of people. All right. I hope that's clear. All right. So next one, we're looking at the value proposition. Right. Throughout many of the launch activities, the product manager must be able to clearly communicate the unique value and benefit the product offers to the market. So you as a product manager, you should be able to highlight, like flesh it out. This is our value proposition. This is the value that we are giving. That our product is offering to our users. So this is not features. Most people will be thinking in terms of future. No, they're thinking in terms of value and how the product would impact or help the customer. You're not thinking future. Most people, that's where they make mistake. They're always thinking about, the solution does it, does no, no, no. I know your solution does this, but what value does it give to the customer? How does it change the customer's life? How does it improve or meet their needs? That's what you flesh out. So you're not drafting it in terms of technology features. You're drafting in terms of value applied, um, the value that is being applied, that is being the value that gives to the customer, right? So demonstrate the product advantage over the competitors, right? You how your products, you explain how your product addresses pain points that is in a way that is different from your competitors, or that is different from the current way that is being done. All right. Demonstrate a tangible outcome. So now you're not thinking of future, you're thinking of outcome. That when you use our product, you'll be able to achieve this. You're able to get this done. So that's outcome. And most people, when they think about their life issues or things they're trying to do, they're thinking of outcome. What is it? What outcome will I get after using this feature, after using this product? So you must be able to highlight that. Like, if anything, all your team should be able to go keep looking at that value proposition so that everyone is aligned on how they, whatever kind of messaging, whatever kind of plan, whatever things you're doing, always ends up going back to the value you are giving to your customer. All right. So that's very important. So now you're looking at competition positioning. All right. I say leveraging competitive differentiation established during the development of the product strategy and market research activities. Opportunities for optimal positioning amongst and against the competition should be clearly identified to determine the most compelling launch positioning, highlighting the unique value proposition, values, and advantage that your product offers to the market. So early on, when you're doing your market research and you're developing your product strategy, right? Like I said, how your product is how your product is different, so that you can know how you can best position your market in a way by when people cannot miss, they can't can barely mistake you for another product. Do you get? People can barely mistake your product for another product. All right, unless maybe another product is the one that's trying to copy you. But you should be able to, position yourself in a way whereby, you are different. All right. All right. So that's very, very important. All right. So distribution channel. So another thing you're crafting again is your distribution channel. So initially you're crafting your competitive position, and these are things that you will write out in and spell it out for your team to see, so that whatever kind of messaging, whatever kind of things you're creating will still align to how you are positioning how well you're positioning yourself in the market. All right. So we talked about distribution channel. Choosing the right distribution channel is essential to ensure the product reaches its customer efficiently and effectively. All right. There are various distribution options that so you have to evaluate everything. There's direct sales, there's online marketplaces, there's affiliate marketer, there is retail partnership, there's combination of channels. So you have to consider the factors such as cost, reach, control, customer preference when selecting the most suitable distribution channel for your product. So you hear me clearly, right? So now you're trying to determine the best channel whereby your customers will be able to access your product or get to find your product. So factors you want to consider is the cost. What's the most cost-effective way? Which one will give us the most reach? Which one is easy to control? And which one does our customer prefer? All right. Let me give you an instance, right? As a that there's a kind of ad product that you can advertise on IG that you can't successfully that you can advertise on Instagram. But if you try to advertise on LinkedIn, you will not succeed. Even though they might even be the same people that is on IG as on LinkedIn. But if you try advertising on LinkedIn, you may not succeed. Why? Because of the kind of channel LinkedIn is. Right? It might be that some even come on LinkedIn, see you advertise products. It is when you advertise on Instagram, that's when they will eventually engage with it. Has that ever happened to you before? I don't know, for any of you that have probably come across an advert on several channel boards, or maybe some a particular you'll be seeing a particular ad. It was when it showed up on YouTube. All right, that's when you were able to must make use of it. Why? Because every distribution channel has its purposes, has its psychology. Let me use that word. All right. Most when you go on LinkedIn, they're going there on from a corporate standpoint. All right. When people go to Instagram, they're looking at it from a more relaxed, more day-to-day thingy and all of that. So on the kind of people you are trying to get, right? It might still be the same people, but there's a mind frame they might probably be having when engaging a certain platform. And your customer will say, I think it is best to advertise this thing on billboards. In fact, maybe on billboards, or maybe on what other channel. Maybe you should even come to them directly. Have people come to them to talk about the product. Well, maybe that's when you have your sales team to help talk about the product to them and stuff like that. Or maybe via affiliate, like I said. So you are the one that will define what's the best distribution channel that you can use, right? So next one, we're looking at sales process. So this is another aspect you need to find as well. At this class, I'm going to share to you guys a checklist. I'll share at the end of this class, not immediately because I'm still compiling it. So it's a checklist I'm going to share to you that when you're about to go, you've done your development, you're about to go to the market. These are things that you should ensure that you already have. And you are getting those things that you're checking it and okay, we already have this, we already have that. Having as much as possible those other checklists we define with the time where to succeed in the market. So I hope you guys are following. I need your response. Yes.
Your light is breaking.
On. Yes. Me. I can't hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
All right, good.
I can hear you.
Awesome. All right, good. Oh, you're following me, right?
Oh, we're following some.
All right, good. All right. But you guys can hear. I just got a message that Matthias says she can't hear me clearly. Am I audible?
Your line is breaking. That's just it. I can hear you, but not everything. Like the line is breaking.
Interesting. All right, one second. One second. I need to set something so that you guys can. Okay, I get you guys. Don't worry, I'm going to set it. All right. All right. How about now? Is it clear now?
Yeah, it's fine now.
It is. All right. Good. Good.
Yes,
All
it
right.
is.
All right.
It's clear now.
Awesome. So we're looking at, so the next thing you need to also craft out, so you need to write out, is your sales process. All right. So you need to define your sales process, which involves the steps, the activities, and the resources. Remember, your process involves the steps, activities, and the resources required to convert leads to into customers. So now imagine you've reached your customers now. If people are seeing it, then how do you convert them to customers? How do you convert them to people that will be using your customers? Right. So depending on the type of product this can include prospecting, lead generation, qualification, pre-release mailing, list sign up. So you might want to have what we call a wait list sign up. All right. You can also do a product demonstration, product trial. So people that have used your that have seen your marketing, right? How will you get them to start using your product? And that's where your sales team comes from. So now you work closely with the marketing team. Now, how do you work with your sales team to ensure that people are now you're now converting those people that you've reached to customers? All right. So you're looking at like I said, product trials, negotiation. You're looking at closing deals. You're ensuring that you are bringing them to buy or to subscribe, your product. All right. Sales process should align with the buyer's journey and customer preference. All right. So you already know how the customer journey on how the journey to the point where they're in need of your products, and how they will then come into getting in contact with your product. So you're focusing on building relationship, addressing customer needs, and providing value. Right, pretty much in the sense of your messaging and your marketing as well. So again, you're looking at promotional tactics. All right. So you can see, I stated here, I said the product manager and the marketing team. So all of these things is not something you are doing on your own. You are doing it together with your team. All right. It's not something you are doing on your own, like I said. So you should carefully consider a mix of traditional and digital marketing tactics to drive awareness and generate interest, and also drive customer adoption. All right. So you should be able to work with your team to know the mix, the kind of marketing mix that you would use to actually get to generate this awareness, and also have people have customers use your product. And these tactics can include advertising, content marketing, social media campaign, product marketing, public product marketing, public relations, events, and more. So as a product manager, you will usually be the one leading other things involves that might even you might have to lead, webinars, set up events that will drive conversation, work with the products, with the social media, marketer, to ensure that you're bringing out content campaigns that tailored to your users need. All right, so you are reviewing all of this marketing, this contents, these materials and documents and everything to ensure that it aligns with what you're trying to achieve and what the outcome that your customers are looking to achieve. All right. So as a product, as the promotional effort are tailored, like I said, the product manager and the marketing team should always keep in mind the preference and the behavior of their target market and their market segment. So there's a way each of your market segment behaves. There's a things that they prefer. So you have to know these things so that you can always tailor your whatever marketing mix you decide to that specific that particular market, the target market or this market segment. All right. And you have to ensure that you're frequently evaluating the tactics, based on the feedback, based on the data, and you're optimizing it to ensure that you're maximizing your impact on those customers. All right. So next one says pricing and packaging. Pricing and packaging. All right. All right. So here now you're looking at the product pricing and the packaging strategy. All right. If it's a software product, all right, you're looking at the best price point that or the pricing model. We're going to look into that tomorrow. We're going to talk extensively around the kind of way you can price your product. So you're looking at one-time purchase. Is it a one-time purchase? Is it a subscription? Is it a premium? Is it a freemium? Is it a licensing? Is it commission? For example, now all these gig solution. What's the name now? For example, like Fiverr, Upwork. This one that you know that they use commissions. All right. So setting the pricing tier options, creating the product bundle and packaging, potentially setting the special go-to-market introduction pricing to help gain initial traction in the market. So there's the way you price the way you set up your pricing model determines how your customers will interact. So you have to understand your customer behavior to determine the best way that they would buy your product. So you have to determine how best. It's going to be weird if Uber was in subscription. Imagine imagine Uber says that Uber is on a monthly subscription, for example now, and you have to pay, let's say, 50K to subscribe, 50K to use Uber. Trust me, people will know. Only people that go out a lot and they know that the sum of the amount they spend is more in transportation is more than 50K. Those are people that will be using Uber. But if you are the one that only goes out maybe twice, you don't even go out that much, and you're telling me that I have to pay 50K as subscription per month, bruv. Do you understand? So you have to understand the best pricing model for your product. All right, that's very important. Next, you also have to understand the branding and the position, right? So finalizing the details around your product brand and position is an integral part of go-to-market strategy, right? See, you cannot leave branding out of it. You cannot leave your positioning out of it. So you're working with your communication team, your brand and communication team as well. So you see how interesting product manager role is that you are interfacing with all the cross-functionality just to ensure that your product succeed. Do you get? So it's not limited to development. It's not limited to design. It cut across customer service. It cut across brand and communication. It cut across marketing. It cut across sales. So you ensure that everyone is collaborating and you yourself understand what each and everyone needs to do, because we are part of the planning process. So you might not be the one executing, in a sense. You might not be the one drafting all of this stuff. So I want you guys to get a difference of where the product manager comes in. Most of your work will come in the crafting of this plan. All right. Of course, you already have your brand and communication team. These are people that are consciously putting out all of these things, ensuring that your branding is refined, and all of that. So, but you understand that you are working closely with all of your cross functionality. All right. Okay. So what does this involves, right? Branding and positioning, right? This includes its value proposition, its target market, its competitive positioning. All right. This strategic underpinning it is the cultivation of strong brand identity that strike the chord with the intended market and set it apart within the market. So, in a sense, right, your if you have a strong brand identity, all right, it has a way of just setting you apart, like a strong brand identity. So there's a lot of creative effort that comes into branding, coming up with the best branding for your for your products. Even from the logo, she gets from the color palette, the kind of color palette you choose is very, very important based on the kind of product you have. You are the kind of product you are using. All right. So all of those things has a way of affecting the psychology or how people buy or interact with your product. So these are things that you need to put into consideration when drafting out your go-to-market strategy. All right. So keep in mind as well that your branding and your positioning should be consistent across marketing and communication effort to build customer trust and maximize recognition and recall. All right. So you can't be saying one thing on social media and be saying another thing on people and be saying another thing on your webinars or your this thing. So there has to be a level of consistency in your branding and your positioning strategy. All right. So next, we're looking at customer support and training. Customer support and training. All right. So you remember I mentioned that most product managers always leave stop at the point of just marketing, thinking that go to market is just about just market. There's a part where you need to ensure that you have the best customer support to help in ensuring that your customers are satisfied, and this is what actually determines your long-term success. I'm telling you, customer support and customer experience is what determines the long term, because it's the kind of support customer gets when they are using your system what determines whether they will come back. So your products can be good, but I'm a user and I encounter something and I'm trying to reach out to your support team to be able to solve that problem. And no one is reaching out to me, no one's here to help me. And I'm still stuck in where I'm stuck. You get I'm not continue using the product. Maybe there's other features that are good, but so far I'm not getting any support from your team to help me out. The customer won't come back. The customer won't come back. All right. So it's also important that you have this set up as well. All right. So this involves developing a comprehensive process and resources to address customer inquiries, provide technical support, and offer product training and documentation. So you have to have a set of team that is addressing customer inquiries. You have to have a team that is addressing technical support. For example, there's a banking app. Someone said that they transferred money to something and the person has not gotten the money. All right. First of all, if you don't have a customer inquiry team, all right, there's nobody that they can first even call to tell them that okay, I'm expressing this issue. All right. And if you don't have the technical support, there's no one that is your support team that can help to resolve that issue or that bug that you're experiencing. And then someone is expressing an issue with how to use your app. There's no one that is ready to provide that training or documentation, or there's no way on the app where they can be referred to walk them through in how they can make use of that feature or something. So these are things that you need to ensure that you have when you're drafting your go-to-market. It seems very elaborate, but these things are very important, guys. So go-to-market strategy is something that you have to take your time and ensure you are planning it properly. All right. It's not that you take forever, but you're taking your time. All right. Okay. So the beta program, some people will call the beta program. Some people call the beta program. All right. Beta program can plan an important role in fine-tuning, optimizing a product before its official launch, the official release. So if you notice, I remember when Firefox, so they're trying to do something. And I can't remember when they were doing it, but they released a beta version of that particular thing, right? And people were using it and were giving them feedback. Everyone know that when you see a app on Play Store, they put beta there. Just know that this app is for test running, all right? You will experience many things, but most people that even try to use that beta version, I remember we talked about the adoption life cycle. If these are innovators or your new adopters, it wasn't new, we call them. Your early adopters, yes, early adopters. These are people that usually like to try out beta versions, all right. But these people, this category of customers exist. So having to bring out the beta version of your product also help you to evaluate the best, refine your marketing, refine your gather feedback, all right, validate your product, recruit potential customers, all right, test multiple version or purpose of your app, all right, so that you can get feedback quickly. Right, I would say that this ensures a successful product launch. That by the time you now launch the main product, you've already addressed all of the issues that people have talked about during your beta, because people know that that's not the final product; it's just a beta. So the one we expect that there will be issues, and that is where your customer support team needs to be very active, because you need to be able to get feedback quickly, and they can also address any issue that has been gotten at the beta version. Right. So I said that this ensures your product launch and minimize the risk of major issues navigating and negatively impacting the broader market. All right. The beta testing process is often divided into two phases. There's the closed beta and there's the open beta. The closed beta is selected users are invited to test the product, identify critical issues, providing initial feedback, ensuring the major problem are caught early on. All right. Then the closed beta, the first one was closed. The open, all right, the open beta phase allows for wider audience to explore the product, uncover a more diverse range of issues, and gathering broader feedback. All right, for beta testing to be successful, the product manager should establish clear channel for beta users to submit their feedback. So meaning that the main purpose of beta is just to be able to quickly get your feedback. And there should be a channel where people can give feedback. Have you noticed that? Have you ever noticed something? If you're using a mobile app and you get to a point, there's a way apps are built nowadays that if you get a bug, you get a bug, right? If there's a bug, right, and you see something that comes up that tells you that is that how it is? Maybe you're not able to, you're trying to click something, you're able to click it. There's a way things are built in a whereby they will tell you report this bug, report this issue, report something. Someone just comes up and tells you to report the issue. All right. So these are things that you create this feedback loop in your app, such that people, or put a place where people can easily drop feedback, reach out to your customer support and all of that. Focus on usability. All right. So what you focus on usability, functionality, performance, feature requests, because they can start iterating and people can start realizing that we need these particular features to complement this. We need features. So you're getting those things. All right. Issues should be prioritized for immediate resolution for iterative improvements such as the launch, right? So all of the issues that you then get from that engagement, all right, you prioritize it towards your next launch. Ensure that you are improving on that for your next launch. So next, we are looking at geographic expansion, all right. These are areas that most people don't even consider most times, all right. Most people don't plan the scaling of their product in their go-to-market, all right. So geographic expansion is a part of the product strategy. A plan should also be developed to facilitate entry into new regions and new countries. This involves understanding the local market condition, regulatory requirements, cultural nuances, competitions in that target region. The go-to-market strategy should therefore include consideration for adapting the product and marketing message and distribution channel to the specific need of the new market. All right. So you're also thinking of how you can get your product into other regions, because that's how you make more money. For example, maybe you launch in Lagos, you should be already having a plan to launch into Abuja, launch into Port Harcourt, launch into Kenya, launch into South Africa. You are thinking, brother, all right, that plan should be there so that it makes it easy for you to be able to tailor and understand other the things that are tailored to that region. All right, so that's also important. Other aspect again you have to understand is the internationality. So internationalization, right? Internationalization, right? So when introducing a product to your customer outside of its original region, all right, it is important to is important to is important to take the account of specific challenges or opportunities inherited in those regions. All right, so I say here, it's important to take into account the specific challenges and opportunity inherent in those regions. So every um, country are diverse. There are challenges that are unique to those territories. All right, and there are several opportunities that you might discover in Nigeria that you might not discover in Nigeria, but when you get into Kenya, you will see an opportunity that is different and how you can then tailor your messaging or even your products to that country. Some people have you ever been let's not even look at what's it called now? Let's not look at tech now. For any of you that have traveled abroad, you will notice that Fanta in Nigeria tastes different from Fanta in UK. It tastes different. Yeah, it tastes different, or even within some states, all right? Because sometimes, because of, for example, now, Fanta in UK, US is sweeter. Okay, no, yeah, I think Nigeria is sweeter than the one in the US. But there's some regulations that for some countries that, well, I think maybe either Australia or Sweden, they say they don't allow you bring in, you know, products that are not so organic. All right. So the organic content, all right, natural content of Fanta. I don't think Fanta in Nigeria has any natural stuff inside. Everything's just chemical. But in some other countries, because of the kind of regulations that they put in place, you can't bring, in fact, I think there's sometimes there's some country whereby you can't bring Nigerian Fanta into it. They'll ban it. They will just ban it. All right. So these are the things that you consider as well for your product. What are the unique challenges or requirements or opportunities that you can discover that will help you refine or tailor your product? All right. So, and even like issues now, maybe you also want to be addressing language barriers. I've noticed something, right? Is it virgin hair? No, Omo. Yes, it was Omo. Either Omo area. They ran an advert. The advert was the same across each country, but different. They use different. They use their origin, their what's it called, their indigenous what's it called, language and people. For example, now it was the same adverting. It was the same advert though, like the same adverts, the same way. The advert was the same storytelling, everything. But the people that they used the people of that indigene, and they dressed them in the way that the way those indigene were. All right. So these are the things that you do when you are putting your messaging out. You're refining it to the requirements or the people in that place. So you are localizing your currency, as well. Other units that align to the regional preference and also considering cultural nuances, like I mentioned. So that example I gave is that things that pertain to cultural nuances. You can't say you want to sell a product, run advert to Nigerians and the people that are there are Chinese. People the face of the product is a Chinese person, everything, but people will not resonate with it. Right. So these are things that you consider as well when drafting your go-to-market. All right. So next we look at your performance measurement and optimization. All right. So it's very important that you are able to have the right KPI, the key performance indicators, to measure the effectiveness of your product distribution and go-to-market strategy. So you're having some key metrics that indicate that you are doing well. So when you look at a particular thing, what shows that you are doing well? Those are things that you need to highlight. All right. These include metrics such as sales revenue, customer acquisition cost, conversion rate, customer satisfaction, market share. We're going to look at all of these in details in our subsequent classes, because this launch phase is a very broader aspect that I need everyone of you to get. All right. So regularly monitoring your metrics allows you for informed, ongoing, data-driven decision. Helps you to also identify areas of improvement and also helps you optimize the distribution and go-to-market activities to maximize your results. So these are things that you do, to ensure that you are optimizing and you're measuring correctly. All right. So, aside that, the other things I also consider, like I said, go-to-market strategy is a very broad aspect. The other thing you might want to consider as well, you're looking at your budget allocation, how you are budgeting for each channel. You're looking at milestone and timeline. All right. You're looking at partnership, making sure any partnership and collaboration is identified. So, what are the partners that we need at this stage? You're looking at that as well. You're looking at your risk analysis, assessing all the risks involved in those challenges, your marketing, go-to-market processes, and developing contingency plans and mitigation strategy to address them. Those are things that you are developing as well. So, in fact, I've seen most times, right? Most companies used to have a go-to-market team, strategy team. They might have their marketing team, but they used to have like a go-to-market strategy team, all right, which they always deploy whenever they are trying to enter new markets. So these guys are continually working towards their scaling into new markets. And they will have a product team, they will have this, they will have engineer, they will have all of that. But their focus is to help them go into another market, go into markets. So, and these are all the things that they get to analyze. So there's a lot of work that goes to the stage, guys. There's a lot of work. So if you were me, or I was you, any of the two, all right, you would start looking at all of these areas individually and start reading up on it, trying to really understand what it entails. Because the more knowledgeable you are on these areas, the more level of value that you can provide to your team when you get to this phase as a product manager. So there's work to be done, guys. So then there's feedback mechanism. I already mentioned, talked about training and onboarding, legal and compliance in terms of what are the regulations, what are the kind of compliance that is required. All right. So next phase here, we're looking at the go-to-market checklist. All right. I said I'm going to share the checklist. I wanted to put it on the slide, but I want you guys to have it personally so that you can refer to it whenever you need to. All right. So I'm going to send it to you after this class. This checklist help you avoid pitfall and set your product for success. It's a robust go-to-market checklist, and it helps you to. It's more like a guideline, pretty much. That when you have them, you can be ascertained that you are set up for success in your go-to-market. Okay. All right. So lastly, we'll be looking at some other areas. We already talked about it, defining your go-to-market strategy. All right. In details, but I want to highlight on some things that I think is important as well. We talked about when you are trying to market entry, we talked about identifying your target audience, right? I just want to explain all those things clearly. All right. So I know I mentioned it, but let me just break it down more. I said identifying your target audience is clearly defining the ideal customer profile. So it's pretty much defining your ideal customer profile is the fundamental thing, when doing your go-to-market, right? So you initially, I know you probably already conducted your market research. You understood who they are already at your get-go. So when you have this, you know that you still have enough data to, that will help you with your positioning, your messaging, your pricing, and your channel strategies. You talked about crafting your positioning and messaging. All right. We talk about so this is pretty much developing a crisp position statement. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, how to create this tomorrow. All right. We talk about how to create this tomorrow. All right. From there, we'll look at how to create a compelling message that brings your value proposition to life and resonate with your audience across all launch content. Tomorrow, we're also going to look at your pricing, how to look at all of this pricing model. So it's important that you're able to outline your pricing strategy. All right. Evaluate your competitor's price, how much your customers are willing to pay, the revenue goals, the buyer personas. We did user persona. There's something that's called personas, which you're explaining drafting how your customer buys, the motivations and how they come about buying your product. All right. or their motivation to buy your product. This helps you land on a strategy that maximize perceived value. So when defining your product strategy, we're also looking at the map your go-to-market channel. All right. So we talked about your leveraging several means: direct, sales web, indirect, affiliate marketing, and things like that. All right. I also talked about your developing your marketing plan, um, setting your clear goals, clear KPIs. That's very important. Clearly define your goals, launch goal. So how many downloads you want, registered users, opportunity source, as well as the key performance indication you will use to measure success. All right. I'm just highlighting this, all of the things we talk about, but these ones are key things that you need to know before you start looking at all of those longer ones that I talked about. All right. So you're looking at building an excitement with pre-launch marketing, which is your buzz, creating your buzz through media, press release, email nurturing, content marketing, and things like that. Next, you're looking at orchestrating your launch day blitz. This is coordinating a multi-channel launch day blitz to drive maximum awareness, specifically on your launch day, right? Update your website, amp up your paid promotions, host a webinar, live event, draft launch press release. So these are things, activities that you carry out. So you will most likely be working with your marketing team on this. So the next is the sustained momentum post-launch. So after your launch, how are you sustaining the momentum, right? Develop an integrated post-launch content advertising, partner marketing plan to educate buyers. So you might have to partner with some what's it called? Maybe there's a body that does trainings and things like that, where you can then tell them to include your product as a means to carry out a particular activities. I remember there was a time I was taking a course on product school. All right, taking a course on product school, and the course was around what's it called now? It was around coming. I'm trying to remember. It was around something around analyzing analyzing users and things like that. User engagement and stuff like that. So after all of that, then you can give an example of how to use it to mixed panel. Yes, that's even when I got to start using mixed panel. All right. So they literally mixed panel trying to partner with them to use their software as a case study to use for that particular aspect of product management. All right. So you can look at a particular training in maybe your product is a finance store or whatever, or is a whatever the thing is. Look at a body that does training and see how you can have them use your tool or your product to also facilitate that engagement, that training, and all of that. So that's another strategy that most products use, in this age. All right. So align internal readiness. So this involve ensuring that all your cross-functional operation, your cross-functional team is ready. Ensuring readiness, ensuring that internal stakeholders are aligned and prepared. So in this case, your sales, your support, professional sales team are on the boot on the ground, representing your brand during critical windows. All right. So you provide the necessary support, equipment, arm them with the objection handlers and value communication tools. You define support process and create usage guidance. So ensure that your customer facing team has everything they need. Because when you are out there, you need a team that your customer can always interface with. So you have to give your customer facing team, any team that will interface with the customer, ensure that they are ready with everything that they need. All right. So next is your test product fit and scalability and documentation, right? So there has to be you thoroughly validate your product, meets requirements, sufficiently scales, and has end user documentation by leveraging internal feedback, field observatory boards, beta programs. So these are things that you set up: internal feedback. So in terms of feedback from within your team, field advisory board. So this is a board that are set up to give you advice, all right, based on things that are happening in the field or even based on things happening in the industry. And your beta program, for if you've launched a beta program, so you probably have a documentation and open documentation, right? That you can document any issue with clear workaround or timeline of resolution. So you have a document where you are getting all issues and you are setting up, you are prioritizing. So in this case, there's a lot of prioritization that is going on. All right, ensuring that you are prioritizing what to build, what to solve, what to resolve. All right. So your backlog might be very interesting at this point, where it's not just about building features. Your backlog might be also be focusing on scalability. Your backlog might be focusing on your goal for your backlog might be focusing both on scalability, maintenance, both on future release. So these are three things that are major for you. You're also looking at, or also the aim for from all of those three can then be, maybe you're also trying to increase revenue. You're also trying to ensure operational stability, operational efficiency, and things like that. So all of those things are things that you are considering to prioritize your features, not just features, your activities and tasks that you are assigning to your team to ensure that you are focusing on the most important things at that stage that you are in. All right. So that's very important, guys. Next, when you are syncing your cross-functional operations, all right? So launching a successful product impacts nearly every facet of your business. Like everybody will collect. Everybody is hands on deck, all hands on deck, all right? You're rallying stakeholders from legal, finance, procurement, facility, IT, more to prepare operational policies, internal communication, training programs, service portfolio, resource allocation. See, bro, it is broad. Everyone needs to. So you as a product manager, you need to ensure that you understand the goal. Of course, you may not understand how all of these things be fully implemented because you're not a legal person, you're not a finance person, you're not procurement, but you know the goal. So whatever strategy that each of these team leads are bringing, you know how to ensure that it is aligned to your goal, aligned to your metrics that you're trying to achieve. How will this thing help us achieve this KPI? That is how you are looking, what you're looking at before you can approve anything that will be going out for that in alignment to that product launch or post product launch. Right. So it's very important, guys. All right. So lastly, for aligning internal readiness, we're looking at lock down the analytics plan. So your newly launched product should be fully instrumented to capture usage, telemetry, product feedback, conversation metrics, other insight from day one. And also this data will expose areas for optimization and helps you quantify impact. And lastly, execute your launch. All right. Um, Now that you have battle tested product launch to take, it's time to bring your product to the market. So these are things that you've done post launch actually. So now you bring your product to the market. You maintain focus and remain nimble to adapt to change. Very importantly, because when you launch, from based on feedback, you see that our initial plan might not really follow in this market. Be quick to change. Be quick to adapt to those changes and know how to tailor whatever needs to, whatever things you are getting from the feedback, whatever thing you are doing to the feedback you are getting. All right. So yeah, now you are rallying behind the product launch plan and adjusting as needed. Very important. Stay agile. Aim to course correct minor items in real time versus major overhauls. Right. So we are not trying to do it. Don't come to a point you're trying to do an overoiling in your launch. Because that's not a place to do overoiling that you want to change everything. All you're just doing to see is what are the major things we need to change, and you are, evolving and iterating on the go. All right. So next one, when you execute your launch, you're capitalizing on momentum to continue enhancing positioning. All right. So in this case, right, use the initial round of customer feedback, competitive response, market reaction data to further refine your positioning, message, content. Look for opportunity to inject authentic customer voice and validate your key differentiator. So you're looking for opportunities where we are able to show that customers are pleased, are satisfied with your product, and also be able to validate how you're different from every competitors. Every opportunity where you can impute customer voice, let people see that people, there's a word of mouth movement, there's people talking about your product and things like that. So because that's how people build trust. That's how people that's how you build credibility, all right, when customers are talking about your product. Frequently update your roadmap and rally stakeholders, all right? With learning flowing in from launch data, clearly communicate revision to your product roadmap. So your roadmap will most likely change at some point. Be ready to adapt. All right. Rally key stakeholders around upcoming milestones. So ensure that everyone knows what the next milestone is, how we're going to hit it, how we're going to achieve it. All right. They also ensure you are continually gathering feedback via products like user voice to ensure you are addressing evolving customer needs. So there's a product called user voice, right, that helps you gather feedbacks from your customers. And celebrate hard earned win. Very important, all right. For every milestone, ensure you are celebrating with your team. Ensure you're ensuring that everyone is cheered up. You are giving accolades to people that are actually putting in the work. So you're celebrating your team. You are motivating them. You are compensating them. Of course, you might not be the one doing the compensation, but you can, for maybe someone on the team who's really putting in the work, you can, what's that word, right? What's the word? You can make, is it suggestions or something to the management team to, put in a good word for that person in that team. So these are things you do. So in fact, most people think that product manager is always focusing on strategy. Most of this strategy, people that are implementing it are people. So you have to ensure that you are giving the right motivation, celebrating your people, ensure that you are empathetic with your team as much as with your customers, all right? Because these are people that are getting the work done for you, all right? So yeah, so that's pretty much the end of this class. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me take a question, guys.
All right, sir. I have a question.
All right, your name and your question.
I'm Chris. So
Right.
I wanted to know the go-to market strategy. Is it like an iterative stuff, or you need to get your data first? Why I ask is for the market segmentation, at least you should have known, like you should have segmented your customers, and then for the marketing channel, which one works and which one doesn't work, at least you should have tried it out. So I'm asking, is it an iterative process, or you need to get your facts and your data first, and then you know how
Well,
to proceed?
it's also an intuitive process. Yeah, it's actually an intuitive process, but you should have something first, something you run with first. So when you run that, based on your feedback, you can adjust. All right, but have something while you in the onset, right?
Yeah.
On the onset, while doing your market research, at that period, also you're also developing your strategy. It's not so. Go to market strategy is not something you do when at the end of products. It's not something you do at the end of product development. It's something you do
Okay.
why designing, why the design is ongoing, why the development is ongoing. Because remember we talked about that development can even be happening in phases. So when you're doing your testing, you can even test a level of your marketing or your messaging to those user group to see how they react, to see how they engage with your product and things like that. So these are things that you this is something that is not, remember we're not doing a waterfall approach. No one is expecting to have everything fleshed out before you launch out. So yes, it's an iterative stuff.
Yes. Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
got it. All right, any question, guys? Another question? All right, let me have a question, guys. Let me have a question. No questions. Okay. In the absent, but let me ask. Well, which aspect of this of this class stood out for you? Which aspect? I need to get your guys' feedback. Which part do you, which aspect, which area stood out for you most in this class?